Hello!
I'm Kathryn Nash.
And I'm Thom Ford.
You might know us from last Christmas at the pantomime at the Audition Theatre.
Yes, I've done a few now, and last time was your first ever soiree into British theatre.
And now we're going to take you step by step. We'll do a little master class workshop from the beginning all the way to the stage.
Yeah, so we're going to take you from pre-audition to the audition to before you start rehearsals, to rehearsals, and then showtime.
Join us this next coming week.
Yeah,
right?
5 days, 5 10-minute videos of how to become a performer and how to succeed in rehearsals, auditions, and the show. This is for anyone that is thinking of starting a theatrical career. Maybe you are taking your first steps into community theatre or doing a school play, or you might decide you want to do this professionally like us.
Hopefully it's helpful to anyone at any age, at any stage.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha!
Wow,
Rhyming.
That was a lot of rhyme. So welcome to our very first lesson. Before we get started, we thought it'd be a good idea to give a little introduction into who we are, in case you don't know who we are and you think, who are these two random people talking to us all the way from
And telling us
America
what to do.
and telling us what to do. A little introduction, do you want to go first?
Sure. So again, my name is Kathryn Nash. I've been working professionally since I was probably about 14 years old, but I've been singing, dancing, and acting since I was about 3. I grew up in Texas and Florida, and I've opened new offerings at Universal Studios Orlando and Diagon Alley, and got to workshop some things there. I went to school for musical theater in Florida. Well, we met aboard Disney Cruise Line most recently, and we've been doing that for about 5 years. That's our most recent. We're in the musicals
on board there, so again,
yes.
Why we're probably quite good at teaching a musical theatre course. We've been doing it professionally and working quite hard on a ship for a long time. Yeah,
and I've taught a couple of workshops here and there, so this is really exciting. First time doing it virtually. Thom, who are you?
Who am I? My name is Thom Ford. Yes, I grew up in the Crewkerne area of Somerset. I studied at Yeovil College. I did the performing arts course there, and then I went all the way to London to Mountfield Academy of Theatre Arts to study acting. And then I worked professionally in London, mainly as a sketch comedian for a number of years. And then I went and was doing pantomimes across the country. And then in 2016, I landed the Disney Cruise Line gig, and we'll talk about that audition later on as we talk about auditions. And have performed in the shows with Kathryn since then. And then for the last 3 years, I've come back to the Octagon because that was the theatre I grew up in. My first show was 13 with what was then called the Young Octagon Theatre Company, now Yeovil Youth Theatre, doing Barnum. That was when I was 13. And I was very scared. So I'm hoping all this stuff that we'll teach in this class will help anyone that was like me, that is taking their first steps into community and amateur theatre. Yeah, I come back for the last 3 years to perform in the Octagon Theatre pantomimes. And we got to do one together last year. We got to be in Snow White for your first ever panto and first ever British performance.
Yes.
I was Herman the German.
I was going to say, you miss your German accent. How long is it going to take?
There it is. It's already come out. It's come out. I miss it daily. Sometimes it slips out just in general conversation. So keep an eye out for that, or an ear out for that. But that's basically who we are. Thank you to the Octagon Theatre for employing us right now to do this for you guys. And we hope that you guys will learn something as we go along.
And also, we're married.
Oh, we are
married. That's why we are together.
That's why we're here in
America. Yeah. Shall we get started?
Shall we get started?
I think so. So first of all, when you're preparing to go out into the world to be a theatrical auditioner, you're going to need a book. Create
a Harry Potter book?
No, a book of songs, monologues, and things to be prepared for an upcoming audition whenever it may occur. So there are a couple of different kind of guidelines that people use to create a book. Specifically for musical theater, you want to have several different types of songs that you know like the back of your hand in this book. So you probably are going to want some rock and roll music, you're going to want some ballads, you're going to want some funny songs. I would say 2 or 3 of each of these kind of categories. Like the pop musical like Six or Hamilton, you're going to want some material that will make sense to audition for those kind of shows. You'll have to have audition material for things like Phantom and Les Mis. So you see how that's a little bit different.
You might want something funny, you might want some ballads. It's probably a good idea to maybe throw in a pop song as well, because so many shows are becoming like jukebox musicals. And some things you might be auditioning for might be plays with music or panto, where they will put in popular songs. So
Yeah.
it's good to have a pop song in there as well.
And so when you prepare for that audition, you'll look at your book, and if necessary, you'll figure out the song that is in your book, but find the song in your book that's appropriate for that audition. Once you get to that audition, they might find that they want to hear you sing something else, so they might flip through your book, so you need to be ready to sing anything that is in that book that you put down in front of the pianist. You need to be ready to sing it.
Yes, that's right. Should I talk about my audition for Disney Cruise Line very
Yeah.
quickly? Because that was a perfect example of having a book ready. For the Disney Cruise Line audition, I sang Jack's Lament because I knew they were looking for Scar Jafar type. So somebody that was a villain, but was like likable, humorous as well at the same time. So I sang the Jack's Lament song from Nightmare Before Christmas. And I luckily had my book with me because the casting director liked me. So he said, can you sing something else? Which I was not really expecting. And I was like, oh, okay. And so luckily in my book, I had some other songs. So I quickly had to decide in the spur of the moment, what song did I probably know the best and may be good for the role.
Right.
And the song that I knew was called From Russia with Love, which is a James Bond song. And I'd sung it the week before at a concert for my nan because she loved the original singer of the song. And the casting director loved that choice for that song that still to this day tells people that I got that role because I chose that song. The fact that I had that in my book, and it was a kind of, well, not pop, but it was like an old school jazz ballad, so it wasn't a musical theatre song at all.
Right.
But thankfully, because it was in there, it worked.
And you don't always have to have musical theater songs. That is a great example of being prepared for an audition, and if the casting director likes you, they're gonna ask you to sing more, so be ready.
Mm-hmm. So, once you've had the call about going to the audition, or that you've seen the audition break down for an open call, and you decide what role it is you're going to be auditioning for, you will then need to do some research. And the best things to do that are probably Wikipedia.
Yeah?
Classic Wikipedia, because Wikipedia always has the plot synopsis of any show or play, unless it's brand new.
You're just going to have to go off the description. So
Yeah.
looking for someone aged XYZ to portray a XYZ, and you
make it
yeah,
up.
you gotta snowball off
Because
of
they're
that
going to
information.
cast you for being you, really, at the end of the day.
But if you're going to audition for a show that has a description, look it up, research the show, and understand the material that you're preparing to go in for.
Right. Obviously, we're of a day and age where YouTube is widely accessible, so most shows nowadays are probably on YouTube. So if you feel like you perform better knowing exactly what the role entails, and you feel like you could possibly do a good imitation of what the original person did, then watch YouTube. For me, I don't like watching other people because I feel like it influences my performance too much, but everyone's different. So I will always use Wikipedia and make my own assessment. Other people will watch the show and be like, oh, this is exactly what they're looking for. I'm going to go and give them a performance that's similar to that. So once you know what the show is and what the role is, that's when you look at your book and decide what song you're going to sing. If you're going for a role, let's say one of the characters in Avenue Q, you're probably not going to go in and sing Eponine's ballad from
On My Own
from Les Mis.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if you're going for Christine and Phantom, you're not going to go in there and sing Wait For It from Hamilton.
Right. So make your choice relevant. It's probably not advisable unless they ask for it to sing that character's song from the show, because often a lot of people do that and casting directors get very bored of seeing the same song over and over and over.
Yeah.
So make sure you choose a song that would represent you very well and represent the character very well.
And if you're going to choose a song that is very popular, make sure that you are the best person singing that song. I had a director one time that told me, you know, when I saw that you were going to sing Astonishing from Little Women, I was like, ugh, have to hear this again. And luckily, they said after I finished that audition that that was one of the best versions of that song that they had heard, which was amazing feedback for me. But I tried to make the right decision for me to sing that song and made sure that I could do it the best. Because if you go in there and you sing On My Own and you've just learned it and it's not really in your range, they're gonna just say next. You know, you got to go in there and nail it.
Sometimes with these castings, especially if it's a called audition, you may not know about it until the day before. So it's very important, what we said before, to make sure you know all of those songs. Say you have 10 songs in your book, that you know all of those 10 songs inside out, backwards, forwards, left and right.
And if you feel like you don't have the appropriate song in your book and it's a last-minute audition, can be controversial advice, but I would say don't try to learn the song the night before. I remember going in for an audition and it was a pop rock. It was like right when new musical theater was kind of getting in, and it was a pop rock song, and I really didn't have a pop rock song in my book, so I learned the song from Next to Normal, which was a new musical at the time, and I did not know the song. I was shaky the whole audition. I was like, because I wanted to do the appropriate material, but I didn't know the song, so I wasn't confident. If you can learn a song and know it like the back of your hand in time, do it, but don't try to challenge yourself. Do what you are best at. Do something in your range.
The audition is not the time to challenge yourself. The audition is the time to show yourself at the best product that you can be. So pick something that you know really well. And that's the same with monologues as well. I usually have like 5 monologues that are like my go-to. And again, it's the same. Choose wisely what goes with it, which role, and just make sure you know it inside out. And sometimes with auditions, and this happened with Disney, because they have hundreds, if not thousands of people to see over the course of their audition process, they will only ask for 12 to 16 bars of a song, which is a tiny, tiny section.
Tiny.
So you may know that whole song really well, but then you have to decide which small section of that song shows the character, shows you very well, and shows your range.
Sometimes they can even cut things down to 6 bars or 8 bars. I mean, it can get brutal.
A very good friend of ours who is a tenor and can sing the 24601 part of Jean Valjean's song, he just goes in and sings that section.
24601, just that.
Belts it. I thank you.
And if you can, great.
Great. He only does that if they ask for a small section. And it shows him off. They can see who he is, what he looks like, what he sounds like, and they make a decision. We'll go into that on our next video about the actual audition itself. With all this being said, it's just make good choices and make sure you know your stuff. But don't get stuck in your ways, because a good thing about an audition...
Be malleable.
Yes, be malleable. We'll get into this on our next lesson. And so we lead into the night before the audition. Make sure you've learned everything. Make sure you get a good night's sleep.
All a part of the audition process. Don't stay up. Goes back into what I was saying. Don't stay up late learning a new song. Sleep is your friend. Get a good night's sleep. Be ready and well rested.
Very well rested. Drink plenty of water, because those vocal folds, they need hydration, darling.
I had a vocal teacher one time that told me water does not get to your vocal folds for 2 weeks.
Wow.
So when you're leading into an audition, the month before, drink tons of water. Don't the night before decide to down a bunch of water, because you know what? You're not going to get a good night's sleep because you'll be up peeing all night.
Exactly. So just make sure you're hydrated constantly. If you're working in a city, if you're now working professionally and you're living in a city, always plan your travel route. But obviously for some of our people that are watching this, you're probably quite young and maybe don't drive yet. So,
and maybe your parents drive you
And maybe
around.
your parents drive you. So make sure you and your parents know what time you're going to be leaving in the morning or afternoon, whenever the audition is. Make sure you know what's happening, because you always want to be there on time. Never be late for auditions, because sometimes they won't even see you if you're late. So make sure you're there on time. Make sure you're there early so you can be prepared, because stress does horrible things to our vocal folds and to our brains.
Constricts. It makes it all small.
Tight.
I'll talk more about vocal folds tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's all about relaxing and being stress-free. So your parents are super prepared and they know exactly where you have to be, but there's no harm in just saying, Mom, Dad, when are we leaving tomorrow? What time are we getting there? How long is the drive? Should there be any traffic? Just talk it through, because when you are heading to an audition, your parents and you're going to be partners, because they're taking care of you and getting you there.
Fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
I've never heard that before.
It's a good motto. We will see you tomorrow for our audition technique masterclass.
Yes, can't wait.
Have a good night.
See you there.